Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show. Welcome everybody to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, we talk about 4 different types of freedom: time, financial, location, health freedom. And in that light, I'm always interviewing entrepreneurs, influencers, people on the cutting edge to record those conversations and share those insights with you. So today, I have a special guest, Scott Harris, and he's all about embracing challenge to perform at your highest level with joy. And so he's going to talk about his earliest experiences, taking a faith, fear, and it's going to be a fantastic conversation. So, Scott, welcome.
Good afternoon. Pleased to be here.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming onto the podcast. Tell us more about yourself, your background, your upbringing, and how you got started.
Well, I kind of got started. I was a bit of a misanthrope. I was a high school dropout. I dropped out of high school to join the Army in 1975, which was not a popular decision amongst my peers at the tail end of the Vietnam War. As it turned out, it was one of the best things I ever did. I learned so much about myself while I was in the service and the things that drive me and propel my life. While I was in the service, I took up skydiving. I did military jumps, but I took up the sport of, civilian skydiving while I was in the service. And I learned from that the joy that I find in facing challenge, whatever that might be. And that's become the drumbeat of my life. And it has brought me tremendous joy and a certain measure of success in many areas, both my personal life and professional life. I've had several businesses. I'm definitely something of an entrepreneur. And my joy and ability to focus and embrace challenge that comes my way. Some challenges are chosen, others are imposed upon us. And I've learned to find joy in embracing any of those challenges and overcome them by so doing, if that makes any sense. After I got out of the Army, I put myself through college running. Basically, I had 2 businesses. I did one, I was renovating homes and selling them. And I ran a parachute center. I taught other people to skydive, and I competed in skydiving. I became a national champion collegiate skydiver in 1979. And then 20 years later, we'll call that middle age. I was almost 40, but literally 20 years almost to the day, I won the National Amateur Polo Championships. Not related to skydiving in any way. Polo is actually one of the most difficult sports of the world to learn, as anyone who's ever played can attest to. Hitting a ball roughly the size of a hardball baseball from the back of a galloping horse while it's moving is a daunting task at the least. But my joy and ability to embrace challenge is what drove me to these and many other, challenges that I've overcome in my life.
Interesting. Fantastic story. Very inspiring. So tell us more. One is taking a leap of faith in yourself. Tell us more about that concept.
Well, not to beat a dead horse, about skydiving, and honestly, to apply any of the principles that I talk about, it doesn't require that anybody do anything in particular. You don't have to go jump out of an airplane in order to learn from my lessons. But when your foot leaves the door of an airplane at 12,000 feet, you're really living in the here and now. You're not thinking about your problems with your spouse or girlfriend or, issues at work or even your business. You are 100% in the moment, focused on what you're doing. And the ability to do that is what allows you really to focus and perform at your highest level. It's kind of interesting. I call it performance meditation, really. I also practice transcendental meditation. My father was a big meditator. And I always thought it was interesting that we both kind of reached the same philosophies towards life and performance through completely different avenues. But you'll find that anybody who's really good at anything has the ability to focus all of their attention, all of their resources on one thing. And if you can do that and you practice doing that on small things, it'll get easier to do it on big things. And the ability to focus all of your attention on something that's in front of you is extremely powerful. It really is. That is the avenue to performing at your highest level. Whereas if you allow yourself to be continually distracted by your own retractions, by your own what ifs, and concerning about whether or not you're going to do well enough, or whatever challenge you're facing is going to get the best of you, or your performance may not be good enough, or whatever can go wrong. If you're focusing on that, it takes away from your ability to perform and will not give you the best outcome. But if you can learn to reach a point when facing any challenge where you kind of, you deliberate about things, that would be silly not to. And you really have to analyze your situation and decide what you're going to do, or if you're going to, accept a challenge. But once you reach that point where you're going to move forward, you have to draw a line in the sand. And once you cross it, you stop all the negativity, you stop second guessing yourself, and you focus on what is before you. And if you can really do that, then you will perform at your best level. You will do the best you can if you can really focus on what you're doing and you're not second guessing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, sometimes that's easier said than done. But like most things that you do, if you practice, you get better at it. So if you exercise self-discipline and focus on small things, it gets easier. If you do it a lot, it gets easier and you get better at it. And then when you need to focus hard on the big things that really matter, you'll do better. You'll do better at doing that. And the road to success is paved with self-discipline and effort. And if you can learn to exercise that in all aspects of your life will be better. It really will.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. And then one of the things is that talking about embracing any challenge to find joy. What do you mean by that?
What I mean is that mostly, as human beings, we find joy in accomplishment, and we feel better about ourselves because we do something well, or we accomplish some goal that we've set for ourselves, or we overcome some obstacle that's in our path that is on our path to our heart's desire. And that's where your greatest joy is found, is feeling good about yourself. And that is the path to that kind of joy is is directly through accomplishment. And so if you can focus on what you're doing and perform your very best at whatever that is, and this applies to your personal life, you know, you can be a better person, a better husband, a better father, or a better, you know, mother. If you can be a better person and you know that you're doing better, you're going to find joy. You're going to feel good about yourself, which really is the most important thing. If you feel bad about yourself, it's very hard to do well, to do anything well. You know, depressed people aren't setting the world on fire. You know, the people who accomplish great things generally have a pretty good attitude about themselves.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah. And then what overcoming paralyzing fear to move forward.
It's, you know, everybody's, you know, afraid of what can go wrong, you know, and just like, you know, if somebody goes out to jump out of an airplane for the first time, it's a terrifying experience. But if you can take a leap of faith in your own ability to do what you need to do and let go of that fear and absorb the experience, it can be life-changing. And the same is true of anything that brings you fear of, you know, asking someone out on a date can be terrifying, especially for a young person who hasn't done it very many times, or has been somebody who's had a messy divorce. It's hard to trust someone else. You're fearful. And if you can just get past it and take a leap of faith that everything's going to be okay and get past, you know, your fear, you can find tremendous joy. Joy is found on the other side of fear. And if you can get past it and not focus on the things that are terrifying, and mostly fear makes people freeze up and they can't do anything. So if you can take a leap of faith and get past what you're fearful of, you will have overcome it.
What advice can you give others in order to learn to focus on any problem?
You have to reach a point where you trust yourself, that you've done enough in preparation, and believe that, you know, have faith in yourself, have faith in the universe, and just take that leap of faith and, you know, and see what happens on the other side. Part of what makes many people fearful is the lack of control. And the truth is, we have very little control over most things. You have to reach a point where you just say, well, I'm going to do the best I can, and it's going to be what it's going to be. And if you can take that leap, you're a lot more likely to get to a good place and have a good outcome than if you focus on the fact that you're afraid. Being afraid doesn't help. I mean, you're going to be afraid of things. People who don't have any fear don't do anything. You know, people who accomplish things are going, you know, they're not giving into their fear, but they're going past it. And that's what you have to do to accomplish anything. You're going to have a fear of failure, because you're going to fail. It's part of life. Success, you know, failure is part of success. You won't succeed at anything without failing at anything. You're going to fall on your butt a few times, and you have to just get back up and not let it overwhelm you and get past it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because apparently, you know, you're still running two businesses and then you have a side hustle as a commercial pilot and skydiver. So
Yep.
it sounds like you're quite the entrepreneur.
I like being busy. I have to admit that. I'm not a lazy person. I'm the chief pilot at a parachute center here near Portland, where I live, and I run a consulting firm, a construction consulting firm, and I'm a writer. I've written 2 books this year. I like being busy. I like doing different things. I teach some classes on different subjects, and I do this.
Yeah. Interesting conversation. How can people follow you, contact you, I know you're on YouTube, Twitter, and
I have a website. It's scottkharris.com. And my book and my this podcast will be advertised there, and other things that I'm doing will be on there, and the things that I'm writing and anything that's going on, currently, will be on that website. My book is also available on Amazon, Amazon Books, and it's on as an audio book. It's on Audible, and the audio book is actually a pretty neat product because I personally like books that are read by the authors, and mine is no exception to that, because I can emphasize the things that I think are important, and that's why I wrote them. And someone else doesn't always interpret things the same way. So when you have a third party reading a book, it's fine for fiction, but it becomes less interesting in nonfiction. So I think that my audiobook is actually a great product, and it's a neat way to listen to things that are kind of inspiring and affect your life, and you can kind of listen while you're driving and stuff like that. It's the modern way, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks so much for all the audience out there listening. Scott's resources will be in the links and show notes. Thanks so much. Be sure to follow him on social media, and thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks, Doc. Thanks for having me.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.